The federal crackdown on drug trafficking has escalated dramatically, with President Trump intensifying his strategy and expanding the battlefield. After designating cartel groups as unlawful combatants, he empowered federal agencies to operate with wartime authority, a shift that opened the door to the most aggressive operations conducted on U.S. soil in years. And in the pre-dawn darkness of Minneapolis, one of those operations unfolded in a way no one expected, inside the chambers of a Minnesota judge. At 5:18 a.m., the city lay silent, coated in frost. Car windows shimmered under the street lamps, and there was no sign that anything unusual was about to take place. But the calm disguised a coordinated federal breach already in motion. Unmarked vehicles rolled to a stop outside the office of Judge Layla Mahad, a respected figure in Minnesota's legal system. Agents from FBI, DEA, and ICE stepped out quietly, their boots crunching in the frozen air. With no warning, a battering ram slammed into the reinforced entrance. The impact shook the building. Framed family portraits wobbled beside a small American flag, symbols of a sworn oath now shattered. Agents swept through the office with precision. They tore open drawers, scanned walls, and illuminated every corner with high-powered tactical beams. Behind a hidden panel, they discovered 6 kilograms of vacuum-wrapped cocaine, arranged as neatly as evidence in a courtroom exhibit. 7 firearms rested in foam-lined cases. The biggest shock, however, was a dust-covered safe embedded in the wall. When cracked open, it revealed $81 million in freshly sealed cash, more than some regional banks handle in a year. On the judge's desk, investigators found an unlocked phone, glowing with encrypted messages outlining transit codes, drop-off locations, and delivery timetables directly connected to CJNG cartel routes. A judge's chambers had become a trafficking hub. The betrayal wasn't carried out from the outside, it was orchestrated from the heart of Minnesota's legal system. And the deeper the agents dug, the more horrifying the truth became. Judge Mahad, a 49-year-old Somali American, wasn't coerced or threatened. She wasn't manipulated. She was an architect of the machine. Federal investigators determined that over 6 years, more than $61 million in cash and another $118 million in suspicious wire transfers flowed through 29 shell companies she helped establish. These companies existed only on paper. No products, no employees, no physical addresses, yet money poured through them in volumes approaching that of legitimate financial institutions. Every dollar traced back to CJNG operations. The web extended far beyond street-level dealers. It touched the highest levels of local infrastructure. A bank director who approved suspicious transfers during late-night hours, a local police chief who signed unusual cargo screening permissions, and other officials who quietly ensured trucks moved through checkpoints without questions. This wasn't bribery. This was an intentionally engineered system. Footage later retrieved from street cameras showed Judge Mahad slipping into a dark community center at 2:17 a.m. through a side entrance. No lights, no security. 3 men followed her, including Abdi Khalaf, a wanted felon active in 2 states. They stayed for exactly 17 minutes. No bags exchanged hands, no words were recorded. But doors opened, doors closed, and something unspoken but unmistakable passed between them. Uncovering that moment led agents to an even chilling discovery. Mahad wasn't just helping smuggle narcotics, she was facilitating the entry of individuals. More than 580 Somali nationals, nearly all young men with records of gang affiliation, military-grade tattoos, or prior violence, had been funneled into Minnesota through connections to her network. Within 16 months, those recruits were linked to 57 shootings, 91 armed robberies, 22 forced prostitution cases, and 9 overdose deaths. One attack in Bloomington left 2 elderly shoppers wounded outside a supermarket. One of the identified attackers carried a PCA employee badge issued by a medical care facility, later exposed for billing $1.7 million in fraudulent Medicaid claims. Money meant for seniors and disabled Americans had paid for weapons and street violence. The boundary between law and criminal networks had dissolved, not by accident, but by deliberate betrayal.
Operation Northern Razor began. What started as a simple raid inside a judge's office escalated into the largest multi-agency operation Minnesota had ever witnessed. Federal authorities codenamed it Operation Northern Razor, a mission designed to slice through layers of corruption embedded inside institutions. Inside the Emergency Command Center, walls were plastered with maps covered in colored markings, red dots for suspected stash sites, blue arrows tracing transport routes, orange circles around compromised clinics, warehouses, and apartment buildings. They looked ordinary, places people drove past daily, but behind their doors, an entire shadow economy operated freely. At 4:03 a.m., a single alert pinged across dozens of federal and local devices. Execute immediately. Then Minnesota ignited. Black SUVs glided through icy streets, tactical units fanned out behind apartment complexes, state troopers sealed highway exits, a helicopter hovered over a line of warehouses, sending powdery snow swirling like smoke in the darkness. The first breach hit a decaying trucking depot outside Brooklyn Park. From the outside, it appeared deserted. Inside, it housed industrial-grade packaging systems, barrels of chemical cutting agents, and shipping pallets stacked with sealed product, all ready for distribution. 2 men attempted to escape, but canine units stopped them before reaching the door. On a metal desk lay a falsified medical supply manifest for a non-existent clinic. 20 miles south, another team raided a church basement. Sunlight filtered through stained glass windows, illuminating tables covered in pill bottles, cash counters, and vacuum sealers. An early arriving volunteer froze in panic as agents stormed through. Behind a partially disguised wall, investigators found logs of nighttime product handoffs mapped through coded messages. The most violent resistance occurred in Burnsville, where 2 suspects sprinted from a garage as tactical teams advanced. Snow erupted beneath their feet as they bolted across the yard. One suspect vaulted a fence, but a drone spotted him instantly. Within minutes, he was face down in the grass, wrists bound, steam rising from his breath in the cold morning air. By noon, 27 locations had fallen. Agents seized more than 200 kilograms of narcotics, along with cash stuffed in vents, behind water heaters, inside floorboards. Everywhere money could be hidden. Laptops held routing data. Handwritten logs detailed meetings with officials who had already resigned. Communities from Duluth to Rochester awoke to a scene they never expected. Police tape draped across familiar buildings, helicopters circling overhead, and federal trucks hauling boxes of evidence away. This wasn't war with a foreign force. It was surgery removing rot from inside the system. The unraveling of a network. Inside the Federal Command Center, analysts pieced together the scope of corruption. Documents filled every inch of wall space, notarized letters, suspicious purchase orders, zoning approvals for non-existent projects, emails with vague but damning instructions. Alone, each document could be dismissed as a clerical oddity. Together, they painted a picture of a completely compromised local infrastructure. Financial ledgers showed monthly payments labeled facilities fees, security consulting, or administrative support. One recurring transaction, $32,000 every month for nearly 2 years, went to a Hennepin County police captain's private account. Another ledger tied $11,500 to a zoning approval that had transformed a derelict warehouse into a community resource center. That property was later revealed as a repackaging hub. Emails exchanged between Judge Mahad and a bank director were shockingly blunt. Clear the transfer, no delay. Within hours, money moved. This wasn't corruption whispered in alleys. It was processed through computers and stamped by offices meant to protect the public. Public trust imploded. When news reached the public, disbelief spread faster than outrage. People could accept criminals on street corners, but criminals in courtrooms, clinics, police stations, and banks? That shook Minnesota to its core. Residents stared at TV screens, showing images of places they recognized draped in caution tape. Outside courthouses, crowds gathered with handmade signs. If the law is criminal, what justice remains? Who protects us when protectors fail? Some officials tried to deflect blame. They accused federal agencies of overstepping or misinterpreting paperwork, but the facts lined up too cleanly. Transfers matching shipments, approvals
aligning with cartel timelines, resignations timed with raids. A police union issued a panicked statement insisting the actions of a few individuals did not represent the department. It did nothing to calm the public. Inside a federal holding room, Judge Mahad sat silently. She declined counsel. She didn't ask about charges. She simply folded her hands, the same hands that once signed warrants and custody orders, and stared at the wall, motionless. The scale of the breach. Evidence rooms filled rapidly. What began with 6 kilograms of cocaine in a judge's office ballooned into one of the largest corruption cases in the history of Minnesota. The final totals stunned even veteran investigators. Over 240 kilograms of narcotics seized, more than $154.9 million confiscated, 137 people charged, including officials, medical workers, clerks, officers, and financial personnel. Drugs hidden in vents, water heaters, walls, and even a child's toy house. Fraudulently billed Medicaid funds traced to prostitution and weapons. Community institutions left hollow and leaderless. The real damage, however, was psychological. It wasn't the money, it wasn't the drugs, it was the collapse of trust. A system shaken, but fighting back. Despite the devastation, another truth emerged, one that mattered just as much as the corruption uncovered. Ordinary people chose not to stay silent. A retired nurse walked into a federal office with 3 years of suspicious records. A rookie police officer refused a bribery envelope and filed a report instead. A bank clerk printed transaction histories in tears, overwhelmed by the truth. Their small decisions formed the foundation of Operation Northern Razor. And that is why, even after the raid subsided and news cameras left, one belief remained. The system had not crumbled. It had fought. Outside the federal facility, when a reporter asked an agent if this was the end, he paused. "No," he said. "This is the beginning. The system's worth fighting for." And it is, because justice is only real when people choose to defend it.